It's very good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. It gives me an immense pleasure to invite you all for this webinar. And I know the weather outside is getting a little warmer by the day. Welcome you all. My name is Anil Kumar. I am the regional head for Greytrix in the Middle East. And for those of you who have not known Greytrix, Greytrix is the premier partner for Sage in the region. And for over 25 years, we have been, helping our customers with the successful implementations of ERP and CRM across the globe. And here in the region, we are looking at providing the strategic partnership to Sage in delivering Sage products to our customers. Just to give a context to what we are discussing, the topic of the discussion today is manage seamless manufacturing with the help of X3. Just to give a context to this, it is actually very interesting and many a times, intriguing for me to look at the typical day, a typical work day at any manufacturing unit, with a kind of chaos that they can have in the absence of a proper system, and in the absence of a system that will help them seamlessly integrate. These challenges could be even intimidating to me. For example, if you look at the inventory team, they are constantly at it to not to have either an overstocked or an understocked inventory at their disposal, or maybe they are trying to make that inventory available to the production team at the right time without any delays. Let us look at the purchasing team. The purchasing team is constantly at it to make their supply chain a value system that is totally smooth, and also bring down the purchasing cost to the minimum and manage those vendors and vendor contracts effectively. The production team probably is looking at having a production plan which is in tune with the customer demand, and also in tune with the idea or the mandate to reduce the production cost to the minimum. Maybe they have issues around how to handle the quality control parameters during their production cycle. Or maybe they are also worried about the statutory requirements. Maybe, when there is a recall of any product, how do they do the forward traceability or a backward traceability? So the challenges are plenty. The management is looking at how to make the company number one in whatever they are doing, or maybe how to keep the customers happy, or how to have the best quality products out in the market. The finance team is again looking at their own challenges of supporting the entire activity, maybe through a good budgeting tool, or maybe they have to have the reporting system to help the management get the right information at the right time. These challenges can be chaotic and could be very troublesome if you really do not have a system that is seamlessly integrating all the functionalities. Do we have an answer for this? Yes, we do have an answer, and the answer is Sage X3. To talk about Sage X3, its value proposition, and how it can help all of us here in the webinar, we have a very compelling list of speakers in the panel. Let me first of all welcome and invite Mr. Jeremy Mons, who is the territory manager for Sage in the region. And he is going to help us understand how Sage's focus in the region is really customer friendly and customer centric, and how he is mandated to make Sage the number one solution in the region. Welcome to you, Jeremy. Next, I have
Thank you,
Mr.
Anil.
Harshit Rasputra, AVP Sales for Greytrix, and he is going to take us through a presentation on why Greytrix is the best and uniquely placed partner for you to get the best of implementations, what are its value propositions and benefits, and how Greytrix can make a difference in the overall ERP implementation area. Welcome to you, Harshal. Next on the panel, I have Jackson and Sharon, who are ever excited to present those critical, compelling value propositions of Sage X3 and demonstrate the functionalities of Sage X3 that will address all those typical challenges that we discussed about, or even provide a seamless platform for a seamless integration of activities and try to maximize the profitability of any organization. Welcome to you both. Once again, I extend my hearty welcome to each and every one of you. And without much delay, let me invite Mr. Jeremy to take us through a presentation on Sage. Over to you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Anil. Very appreciated. And welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to present to you all with regards to the Sage offering on manufacturing. I'm looking forward to some questions at the end of the session, so it would be quite interesting to just hear and see where there are some potential challenges that some of the clients are experiencing. Just if I can ask to move to the next slide, please. So just to give you an overview in terms of some of the numbers for Sage, we are a global company with our head offices based in the UK. We are more than 12,000 employees currently globally. We have physical presence in 22 countries. We do operate across more than 80 countries in the world. Currently, our financials, as you can see in the first half of FY20, we had a significant revenue that was happening through the business. We now sit at more than £1 billion revenue that generates through the business on a recurring basis. At the moment, we have a current subscription rate of 96% of customers on subscription, and we are in the process of migrating the balance of those 4% onto a subscription base. As you can see on the right-hand side of the slide, we have over 2 million customers worldwide. In specifics around Sage X3, we have in excess of 750 customers globally that are using Sage X3, and there are excessive amounts of customers that are using it across multiple verticals and industries. If I can ask for the next slide, please. Based on the Sage X3 solution, as you can see on screen, we are able to do multitude of means of deployment. So we can do a deployment on a cloud instance or on premise. You can access the Sage X3 solution either by mobile phone, a mobile device, or laptop, or even a physical PC. The bonus or the benefit that we have from a Sage X3 perspective is we have very specific industry capabilities that are very specific around your unique need, and we bring best practices to you from a global perspective, not specifically just to a regional perspective. With Sage X3, we predominantly look at product-focused organizations. And here we talk around discrete manufacturing and process manufacturing. In terms of the differences, the way Sage sees it, discrete manufacturing is where you have a finished product that gets assembled and creates a new product. And an example of this would be, for example, a bicycle. In process manufacturing, we would take a raw material and we would then process it to a finished good. And once we've completed that, we cannot undo that process. We cannot reverse that process to take it back to the original raw material. That's how we differentiate the difference between discrete and process manufacturing. As you can see at the bottom of the slide there, you'll see it says we deliver value to more than 7,000 customers in 80 countries. It's a very real number, and that number is continuously growing. You can see at the list of the logos below, we have a vast expansion of customers that we operate, from small entities right the way through to fairly large multinational entities. So Sage X3 can be catered to a small, medium, and large organization. If I may ask to move to the next slide, please. Generally, when customers are looking at a significant investment into an ERP solution, these are the four main things that we predominantly end up having a discussion around. We look at functionality and to understand specifically around what are the challenges that your business is currently facing, and are they currently an industry-specific one, or are there a specific challenge that you have within your organization? We then also look at compliance, and we may ensure that from a compliance perspective that all your sort of requirements that are from a legislative, maybe from a prescriptive workflow process, anything like that, we are ensuring that we are continuously keeping those compliances, legislations, and tax tables up to date. If we move to speed, because Sage X3 is a web service, it is purely accessible on any device, anywhere, on any internet browser, any URL, and we can operate on most databases. Predominantly, we work on Microsoft SQL. We are able to deploy on Linux, Unix, and Oracle servers. The fantastic part of Sage X3 as well is there is a much quicker turnaround time in terms of the data getting back to you based on your staff capturing the information that's processed. In terms of simplicity, it's very easy to manage from a user perspective, where your super user will have predominant control in terms of what your users can and cannot have access to. We don't have limitation in terms of the number of entities that you could add into your environment. In the application itself, on the software, there are prompts or self-help or quick help guides that sit in the specific application. So wherever you do get stuck, it does prompt for you to say, do you need help? If we talk to flexibility, this is a big advantage that Sage X3 has over some of our competitors in this specific space. We are able to create or configure your workflow process in the software and not be prescriptive, for example, where we dictate to you what the workflow process would be. Our competitors in some cases will prescribe to you to say this is the workflow process and that's how it is, and you're not going to be able to change. Sage X3 allows for that. Our understanding from an ERP is to be there to complement and enhance your business. We're not there to dictate to you how to do your business. The other advantage is we have scalability, so you can add users through the period. We also are not going to limit you in terms of should you wish to do any production or development or any further testing in the environment, because that allows for you to do so, because we have a 3-tier approach from our architecture. And we're always ready for expansion, right? Because we do understand organizations do mergers, acquisitions, sell-offs, and potential product line increases. Next slide for me, please. On the next slide here, we'll talk around the solution overview. So across the top section, we'll talk around the financial management, the purchasing and subcontracting, the inventory management, production and quality control. So that is quite a key area because, as Anil alluded to earlier, traceability of wherever the raw material is, right the way through to when it reaches the consumer. Sage X3 will give you that experience as long as we have where that product is being made to where it's being sold to. We can obviously integrate warehousing and third-party logistics into the Sage X3 platform so that it is your central data cube with regards to getting data into and out of the system. Sales and marketing, we do have a CRM capability built into Sage X3. And with the enhancement from Greytrix, we're able to get a full-blown CRM solution built into the system. And that will obviously improve your customer service experience that you have. Project management, we do have capability for you to be able to do project job management as well as project management. This is a phenomenal requirement in terms of what most customers ask for, in terms of being able to track the progress and ensure that the projects are being adhered to and staying within budget. We are a multi-site, multi-currency, and multi-language. So we do have the prescriptive legislative compliance. So in the UAE and Saudi, for example, we do have those built in, and we can obviously transcribe the software into Arabic should it be required. There are other multitude of languages that are available, but that is just predominantly where we are talking at this stage. Role-based workspaces, this allows for you to be able to specifically allocate actions for argument's sake, a debtors clerk. That would limit and refine their capability and what they are able to view in the software based on the permissions and the actions that you allow for them as the super user. Workflow automation. This is a significant difference between Sage X3 and some of our competitors. We have visual workflow. This is where your physical user that will be processing in the software, irrespective of skill set or capability, would be able to have a visual depiction of that workflow process and be able to understand what the next step is in that workflow in order for them to continue so that they can execute their actions for that process. We can trigger off alerts. So, for example, when there is a requisition that comes through, we can trigger off an alert for a significant person or a person that has delegation of authority to approve that budget. In the system, we also allow for auditing. So any of the users that process any transactions in the system, we can audit. So we can identify who made potential changes, when it was done, and where it was done. Traceability, again, back to the raw materials of the product. We're able to pick up where exactly we procured or sourced that raw material and where it's gone through the organization and pushed out on the other end in terms of where we've sold that product to. In terms of common data source, as I mentioned before, Sage X3 is a data cube. We can point as many data sources into this environment, and that we can then obviously depict this by means of reporting tools where we can slice and dice the representation of the data. On the right-hand side in the cubes there, you'll see, for example, we do have complementary solutions. So we do have business intelligence, analytical tools. We can integrate e-commerce. So should you have, for example, a Shopify or a MongoDB or Monday.com environment, we can integrate that into the specific space. We do include fixed assets. We do allow for enterprise data management. In some cases, you may also have point of sale. For example, you might have a factory outlet that sits in your organization that you may want to transact directly with end users. We do have an existing point of sale solution that we do offer, but we can also integrate into that environment. Just on the bottom row, I just want to point to the specifics here. We can host your environment specifically on your premises should you wish to sweat your existing assets, or we can push it up into the cloud. And this would be a private cloud, either via a Microsoft Azure, an AWS, or any of your local service providers that you may have existing agreements with. We can push that Sage X3 instance in that space. Next slide for me, please. This now becomes where it's very important for you to be able to see how deep and how much focus we've had specifically in your industry. These are just 5 examples of what we've got in terms of capability within Sage X3. But in discrete manufacturing, we can obviously integrate, for example, any of your equipment, as long as there's IP capability on it. We can look at specifics around rubbers and plastics. We can take into account furniture assemblies and requirements. In process manufacturing, which I think is very key and very relevant in terms of food and beverage, we need to be able to ensure that we can have full visibility to allergens, traceability. We need to be able to understand from the minute that that raw material in food or beverage can start to be processed and how long that process will take in order for us to get to the finished product as quickly as possible. Chemicals we can obviously decipher based on dangerous or flammable. We can separate those through various aspects. Much the same in the pharmaceutical space. We can keep those in terms of what needs to be refrigerated, and FIFO, first in, first out. Distribution, we do cater for distribution. So there we would be able to have third parties where, for example, we could integrate a sign-on glass solution. We do have warehousing and logistics in the core platform. That is available for you to obviously be able to manage your warehousing and logistics within the organization. Business services. So this is specific around, for example, where you may have construction, may there may be maintenance and repair, where you want to continue to see if there's any warranties, guarantees, if there's any specific terms that you may have with your customers, so that you can either go back and contact them to say that they may need to renew their service agreements, they may be able to go and renew their equipment rental agreements, and also to do supplier and vendor management in the specific solution. In agriculture, also quite a significant vertical for us because there's a significant amount of requirement and dependency that comes into the space. So we have capability to be able to manage stone fruit, soft fruit, vegetables. We can take into account winemaking. We can get into account of, for example, dairy. So we have quite a large number of dairies and wine farms on the platform. We also get involved in abattoir processes or meat production. Interestingly enough, when it comes to livestock, we are able to have an integration for Internet of Things. So there we could take, for example, an RFID tag that could be stuck into a livestock or an animal's ear, and we can trace, for example, costing around any potential chemicals, feed, vaccinations. We can even start mapping that sort of information out onto the farm, and we can start seeing where that specific animal tends to go through on the actual farm, and we're able to track and see where the best place is for us to be able to ensure that they get food and water. If I may ask to move to the next slide, please. The key thing that we have from outcomes of process manufacturers. Businesses are changing on a constant basis, right? And the customer that you constantly sell to will always have different trends, different demands, different expectations. So with Sage X3, it allows for you to be able to get much richer detail and much richer data back into the organization so that you can see what the trends are. You can react a lot more effectively to what the customer's demands are. In the production process, we also take into account where we can manage as much of your waste production as possible. We want to ensure that you can utilize as much of that raw product with as minimal output cost, and to ensure that we can ensure the balance of those costs remain relative to what the production and the product is going to be when you send it out to market. We also reduce the risk because we have full end-to-end visibility and traceability. It allows for us to be able to recall any product at any stage as long as the data sits within Sage X3. In terms of being able to adapt, for example, in the Middle East, they've now been introduced to corporate tax. In some other organizations that are in our competitor space, they may not necessarily be able to adapt for these changes. Sage is ready for it. Other areas that we do tend to work very highly in the process manufacturing space is around high-tech organizations, fabricated metals. We do have quite a large number of organizations that utilize this production solution that we offer in these verticals listed on the bottom of this slide. Next slide for me, please. So this is going to give you an example in terms of what's available in the core product when we select manufacturing on Sage X3. There is demand planning, orders, and forecasting. We do have an element of MRP, so we are able to trigger off notifications, and we're able to track and trace where those orders are and when we're expecting those shipments. With regards to our purchasing and subcontracting, we're able to keep track of where our purchase orders are. We're able to contact our vendors or suppliers and keep up to date in terms of being able to communicate back to the end user customer that is going to be saying this order is expected to be out within X amount of time. With subcontracting, it also gives you full visibility as to when that product went out your door and when it is expected back, and you know exactly what that commitment is for that subcontractor based on what that agreement may be. Production and quality control is obviously part and parcel of the solution. As mentioned multiple times before, we talk around traceability. We can stop at any stage in the production line. We can do a quality control, and we can do tests to ensure that the product is consistent from the start of production to the end. Warehousing and logistics speaks for itself, much the same as marketing and sales and customer service. On the baseline, you'll see that we talk around budgeting, so you can input specific budgets based on either the departments, the divisions, or the cost centers that you may have in the organization. We can report on your fixed assets. We can obviously generate financial reports, and through the use of business intelligence tools, we're able to start putting some specific dashboards and key performance indicators into dashboards specific to the users. Next slide for me, please. In the discrete manufacturing, this is quite crucial in a sense that there will always be changes in some of the processes that may come through from a customer in terms of their needs and their demands. I'll use the bicycle example. We may use, for argument's sakes, on some of our bicycle designs, we may stick with the traditional wire spoke. With the trends and fashions that are happening lately, customers will want either the solid discs, or they may want a specific carbon fiber device, wheel. And in that specific space, you're able to then go and source based on that requirement from the customer. You're able to respond a lot faster because you're able to get that product at the most cost-effective pricing and be able to push that benefit back onto the customer. You gain control because there is full visibility from the time that the customer makes an inquiry to the time that the product is actually manufactured and processed and shipped off to the customer. This gives you full insight through that entire production costing process. Once again, quality is also crucial because as you start producing or processing these aspects, the quality is consistent and you can keep track of it based on batching, number plates, or essentially locations of where those products are being sent to. We can obviously then manage the customer loyalty through the CRM capability that we have, because you can make constant contact, and there is also the capability for you to be able to have feedback from your customers when you are transacting. Next slide for me, please. Key thing here as well is in this process with regards to the manufacturing for discrete manufacturing. Here you will be able to see much the same sort of process that is available in the core Sage X3 manufacturing licensing. The big differentiator here is we can then take into account, for example, on these discrete manufacturing process, we can see where exactly you are sourcing those semi-finished goods. And you can ensure that from a purchasing perspective, you're able to negotiate better rates from those suppliers based on the frequency or the volumes that you're procuring from those suppliers. The other key component is there around production and quality control. So this will also help you to identify any of those products or elements that are going into your production environment, where from a service provider or a vendor that is where you're procuring these elements from, you can have significant control in terms of what the quality is, and if there's a change in the consistency, you can immediately start going back to those vendors and querying. And that is, on my side, the last components of the manufacturing aspect. I'm going to hand back to the Greytrix team to continue, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to present on Sage X3, and if there are any questions, happy to take them at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy, for this exhilarating introduction to what Sage X3 is and its capabilities. Continuing on our webinar, let me now invite Mr. Harshil Rasputra to talk about Greytrix and its capabilities and its value propositions. Harshil, please.
Thank you, Anil, for the brief introduction. Thank you, Jeremy, for a brief introduction on Sage and a very good insight on Sage X3 product capabilities. So Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Harshal Rasputra. I'm a AVP Sales with Greytrix, Africa, Middle East. I take care of both the regions. Allow me to introduce Greytrix, who we are, and I'll not take you much of time on Greytrix side. Obviously, we quickly jump to the product. So Greytrix, maybe yeah. So Greytrix, we are a group of companies into business from last 24 plus years now. Headquarters is in Mumbai, India. We have a branch and we have a companies in different countries like Africa in Kenya, Nairobi for Africa operations. In Middle East, we have operating office in Dubai. In Australia also we have operating office. We have in a group we have a Sage Software Solution, which is an sister concern company. They are a master distributor for Sage software in Indian market. We are currently serving to 350 plus business partners globally. Whoever needs the Sage expert services like development services or any integration migration services on Sage products, we are there to help them out. Then we currently have 250 plus Sage developers and consultants sitting under one roof in India. Then, as I've mentioned, we are a master distributor for Sage in India. So we also have our own client base in India. We have around 500 plus large and medium enterprise customers in Indian market. We have also developed 50 plus IP products. Recently, we have developed multiple e-invoicing solution for different countries like Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Zambia. Uh, then we are in process to develop one for Saudi Arabia as well. Yes, and apart from this, we also have developed our requisition portal, which is an web portal to for a companies who is having a non-ERP users, but they have an extensive requisition process. So all the forms are digitalized. There is an approval process on the portal. So everything will be automated. And once it is approved and finalized, it can go to your Sage X3 ERP or any other ERP they have for processing the stuff. Okay, next, please. These are the few achievements and awards we have won over the years. Uh, yeah, Gaurav, next, please. Now, Greytrix, as I mentioned, group of companies. So we have three major divisions within the group. First, where we takes care of all the add-on products on Sage product line. We take care of integration and migration products as well and IP product. So for integration and migration product, we have our trademark product called GUMU, Greytrix Universal Migration Utility. Then in development arm, we do all sort of development on all this product listed, Sage X3, Sage 300, 100, 500. We also do some greenfield and projects. And consulting arm, where Greytrix Africa and Middle East comes into the picture. We are the reseller partner for Sage in Africa and Middle East region. These are the products we are primarily focusing on. Sage X3, 300 people is an HR payroll solution, Sage CRM, 200 EVO. So we have a range of product for SME, entry-level enterprises, small companies, everyone. Next, please. These are the few key third-party products we have developed. Magento integration, we have developed Smart Link integration, XLOS, then iBand is a retail POS solution. We have developed an integration for that as well. Next, please. These are the few development services we are targeting on Sage X3. We have a dedicated technical support team in India who takes care of all sort of development on Sage X3 products. Next, please. So now I'll quickly take you through the key clienteles and references we have. Yeah. So we have clienteles across Africa, Middle East, and globally as well. As we are operating globally we are serving to the partner channel of Sage. Yeah. So next, please. So we are also doing consulting services for the partners uh, in different countries in Africa, in Middle East, everywhere. Uh, these are the recommendation letters from the client. Maybe we can directly go to the success stories, testimonials we have received. These are the few testimonials we have put here for the presentation, but you can also review our social media handles. Yep. Next, please. Okay. So I guess I'm done here for now. Maybe I'll hand over the floor to Mr. Anil to take it forward.
Thank you, Harshil.
Thank you, everyone.
I think the capabilities that you have showcased will bring a lot of confidence in the industry community to go with Greytrix for their implementation of the ERP. Thank you again. Let me now invite the product team. Guys, over to you.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I believe you can all hear me clearly. Welcome to this platform where we are going to engage on how to manage seamless manufacturing through Sage. I hope you can hear me clearly. Kindly,
Your
someone
voice is
give me
breaking,
feedback on
Sharon.
that.
Your voice is breaking, Sharon. Hope it is not the internet.
Okay. Okay. How about now? Are you able to hear me clearly?
It is better. Please continue.
All right. Thank you. As I mentioned, my name is Sharon Mutua. I am a senior functional consultant with Greytrix East Africa. Greytrix Africa and Middle East, sorry. And I will be taking us through this session. I'm excited to take us through this session to see or explore the functionalities and the tools that we have in Sage X3 that will help us to manage our manufacturing businesses seamlessly. Now, as you can see on your screen there, this is just a highlight of the kind of functionalities that we are going to explore. And if you were there from the beginning, you remember.
Sharon, sorry to interrupt. Your voice is still breaking.
Mr. Anil mentioned some of the changes in manufacturing sectors, and we are going to try and address these challenges and see how Sage X3 is able to
I'm so sorry, Sharon. Your voice is breaking.
Just give me 1 minute. Let me switch my internet. Am I back now?
Yes, you are back.
Yes, I've just tried to switch my internet. I hope this will work a bit better.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
All right.
Please go ahead,
Apologies.
Sharon.
All right. Okay. So just delving in straight into the presentation, as I mentioned, we will try to address some of the challenges that we have in the manufacturing sector and see how Sage X3 is able to come in and bridge the gap between the challenges we have and help us to achieve a seamless process in our sector. And some of those challenges we can see will be addressed by, for instance, what we are calling BOM planning. And this is where we're able to manage our raw materials and components and see the consistency we have in our products. We have the formula and recipe management in terms of helping us to run our quality controls and ensure we are compliant with the regulatory standards that have been set. We have the inventory management where we will address the issue of tracking our inventory and making sure we are at optimal levels at all times. We will also see and explore how the supply chain management helps us to achieve the seamlessness in terms of how we receive our raw materials and take out our finished products from our system. We have the reporting and analytics where we'll explore the tools that can help us in terms of coming up with the right insights for our businesses and decision makings, and the production management, which is the backbone of what we are talking about today in terms of how we're able to analyze our production, how we can minimize our cost and boost our productivity. We have the shop floor system that in essence just talks about the activities on the ground and how we are able to monitor our individuals or our teams that are working on the productions that we are doing. And finally, business transaction or operation that you're doing, you need to see a financial report at the end of the day. And this is highly dependent on how you have done your production in terms of analyzing your costs and ensuring that your activities are seamless. Now, on to my next slide, we will just explore the few or the important functionalities that are in this module or in this functionality of manufacturing that help us to achieve this seamlessness that you're talking about. So when we talk about BOM management, Sage X3 is a powerful tool, or it gives us powerful tools that help us to create and maintain and manage complex bill of materials. For those who may not be familiar with this, a bill of material in essence is simply a listing of the components you're going to use to come up with your finished product. And so Sage helps us to manage even very complex bill of materials that may, for example, be needing to have several stages, like what we call multi-level BOMs. In the case where maybe you're coming up with a finished product, but you have to use an intermediary product in the process, or maybe a subcontracted product. So Sage gives us a very streamlined or straightforward capability to be able to streamline all these intricate processes and come up with something that is usable and simple for the user. And the other thing that was mentioned in part of our challenges are probably things to do with product inconsistencies. And sometimes you realize maybe you purchased a product last month and this other month you're purchasing and it has maybe a variation in terms of what was there in the previous product. And instead of having to keeping track of which was the last product to use, which is the product we are using now, we have the version control for our product. So we are able to manage the same product in different major and minor versions and be able to track any kind of modifications or changes that happened in the process. And this is a powerful tool that Sage gives us to be able to help us to be able to manage that without having to face a lot of inconsistencies. And some of the benefits we have in this BOM management, as highlighted here, we'll see it gives us improved accuracy in terms of ensuring we have the accurate product configuration and minimizing any errors that may come up with our BOM production or our BOM creation. In this case, we have the cost saving. Cost saving is a benefit in terms that we are able to coming up with the BOMs will help us to optimize the material usage and reduce on wastage because we have planned our BOMs properly and we are able to result in the appropriate production using the required material without a lot of wastage. And the strategic decision making is a benefit that we achieve because using this powerful tool of Sage X3, decision makers are able to use the data that we have seen in our manufacturing process to come up with actionable insights that help us to be able to make decisions. For example, if we have seen the BOMs and how they have been made, we can tell we need this product in these measures and we need it in this particular quantities and qualities, and we are able to come up with proper decision making. Now, on to my next slide, the other key feature of how we are able to achieve the seamless manufacturing processes through our inventory management. And inventory management basically has to do with being able to track in real time how much stock do we have in our warehouses, for instance. So we are able to manage lead times with our suppliers. We are able to say in the near future, in the next 2 weeks or 1 month, we need this amount of stock. So as long as we are able to track at every single time at a point of view, we're able to tell this is the much stock we have. It helps us to be able to keep the right lead times with our suppliers, and help us also to streamline or to optimize the other operations that are key in making sure we have enough stock. For example, maybe we need to check on our transportation. How long does it take? What are the challenges we encounter if we are to transport raw materials to our premises? So this being able to track our stock real time will help us to be able to plan beforehand, and in consequently streamline our manufacturing or our production. And the other important key feature is that the inventory management helps us in stock level monitoring. This has to do with giving us visibility into our inventory levels and movements across the supply chains. And this helps us to be able to ensure we don't have a lot of overstocking or understocking, because we are able to track this level. So Sage has very many tools that we can use in terms of stock inquiry and checking how much stock do we have on hand and how much are we able to receive, and we can optimize this stock and ensure we don't have a lot or what is not enough. So onto our supply chain management, that is also a very important feature in enabling us to manage or to streamline our manufacturing process, is the factor that for you to produce anything, you will need to procure raw materials, for instance. And at the end of the day, once you're done with your production, you will need to have a way of getting these goods out of your premises, and that is through your sales process, for instance. So, or as you can see, all these processes are intertwined, and us being able to manage our supply chain effectively will in turn ensure we have a smooth flow in our production. And so procurement management comes in to help us to ensure we are striking the right balance between our inventory cost and maximizing the supplier service level. For example, if we know this supplier delays in bringing us stock, as long as we're able to manage our collaboration with this supplier, we are able to tell this supply is the right one in case we need goods quickly, or this supply is the right one when we know we are not in a hurry, or this supply is the one that will give us the best price. So managing the lead times and costs of these products with our suppliers is a very important factor, because also remember it will directly or indirectly affect our production cost. And the other key feature in our demand forecasting, or rather in our supply chain management for production, is the demand forecasting, where this is basically just being able to come up with forecasting or prediction of how much are we going to need, or how much is the demand from our customer. And this also can be done by analyzing what is our historical sales data, what are the market demands out there that we are getting, and it helps us to effectively adjust our inventory level. So as you can see, this supply chain process is very key in ensuring we are able to manage a seamless flow even in our production, and that is very important. On to the next slide, we are now going to see the backbone of why we are here, which is the production management, the production itself. We have talked about how we have managed our inventory, we have managed our supply chain, and now we are now at the part where we are the meat of, the meat of the whole thing, the gist of this session, and that is the production management. Production management has to do with how are we scheduling our production, how are we scheduling our work orders, how are we managing our resources in terms of the labor and the machines that are required to do this production. What are the steps, or what are the quality control factors that we are considering to ensure we are keeping in step with the regulations and everything. So in terms of production scheduling, we know it can be quite a daunting task, especially if you have a lot of factors to consider. For example, capacity constraints. You're not sure how many machines are available. You're not sure this number of people that I have in my warehouse, will they be enough to come up with this production by this particular time? And the lead times of the suppliers, like there are so many factors that are beyond your control. And this is where the system comes in to analyze all these factors, as long as you have set the data in your system. And once you have come up with your work order, the system is able to schedule for you and tell you yes, for me to come up with this production in the timeline you've given me, I have enough capacity. These are the machines that are available. These are the laborers that are available. And yes, you can manage to achieve your production by this time that has been specified. So Sage comes in a very key way to help us to manage our scheduled production schedules and resource management in terms of our labor and our machines in what we call the work centers. These are places where the actual production takes place. We can be able to set up beforehand and say, for me to use this work center, I need this particular number of labor and this particular number of machines. Okay, and we are also doing this resource management in the light and the understanding that poor resource management can lead to underutilization of assets or lead to production bottlenecks, which is what we are trying to negate. And this is where Sage comes in to bridge that gap, as we have mentioned. And quality control, obviously, for any manufacturing company, we know how important and how key this is for us, because we have to keep up with the regulations. And non-compliance can lead to a lot of issues such as fines and legal issues and damage your reputation. And I know no one wants to damage their reputation. So obviously it would be very important to have a system that can ensure by the time you're starting your production, every step that needs to be taken has been taken, everything that needs to be focused on has been focused on, and we are adhering to the regulatory requirements and the industry standards. All right, then after we are done with our production management, or one other key factor in our production management is what we call the shop floor tracking. And this is where the actual activity happens, or this is the platform where we can be able to manage or track our productivity. In this case, shop floor tracking is the functionality that allows you to manage your teams and the individuals who are actually doing the production. And you can track your shop floor activity in terms of who has clocked in at what time, who has clocked out at what time, what is the production tracking that has been done for that work order, and are we on track? If someone clocks in and goes on a break, of course, no human labor is able to do work nonstop like a machine. So anytime the labor or the user of the individual who's working on that production clocks in case they're going on a break, it could be a 30-minute break and 1 hour break. The system allows you to also key in that so that you're able to know within this window we didn't have anything running. So the production ran for the first 3 hours, there was a break of 30 minutes, and there was another 3 hours. And of course, this has an impact in improving our visibility in terms of what is the production that is happening, what are the work orders that have been allocated, who are the particular roles, what are the roles that have been assigned to these people based on what is being produced, and who is the person who is responsible for running this production. All that you can be able to track that information from the snapshot of your system and production tracking itself. And of course, the benefit of this is that you're able to allocate our costs efficiently, because we don't have to come back and key in and say this particular user worked for this hours, so I need to pay them this amount. As long as they have clocked in, the system is able to calculate if it's an hourly rate, you're paying that person with an hourly rate, the system can calculate for you and already tell you, you need to pay this person this amount of money because they have worked for this number of hours. And I believe this is a very important tool for any production manager. And now to add icing on the cake, or cherry on top of the icing, is what we call the reporting and the analytics tool that is a powerful tool in Sage X3. And Sage X3 has a reporting and analytics tool that helps us to be able to view in a snapshot what exactly is happening in our system. We know a system will have myriads and myriads of data, and it's very difficult for any person who's a decision maker or any person who's a manager to come and start drilling down and seeing which was the work order that was being worked on, how much costing have we used for this week, how much. It can be quite a daunting task to do that. And so Sage X3 summarizes all this data in very beautiful charts and what are they called? Charts and diagrams, as you can see there, very colorful, that will interest you to see. And from what you can see, these are what we call customized dashboards. So Sage has customizable dashboards that are even specific to the user of that information. For example, if it's a CFO who needs to see what is our costing, are we making any profit, he's able to see all that data in a snapshot, see a total of the costs, see a total of what was done for sales, and see how is the margin and how are the margins working. And of course, graphs are able to give us us trends and analyze our data over a period of time. And I believe this is a very beautiful feature you'd want to have in your company. And of course, the beauty of it is that it gives us real-time insights into what is happening in the company, because anytime the user comes and logs in and views their dashboard, they're able to see the real-time data as per what you have in the system. And also it's important for predictive analysis in cases where maybe you're using something we call demand forecast. As we mentioned, we're able to see in the previous months, this is the demand we received, these are the customer orders we received. And so we are able to predict and say, in the next month, we perceive we are going to have this number of orders. So you're able to go and key that in the system, create your demand forecast, and then organize your production in that light. So allow me now to share my screen on the system itself so that we are able to see how how all these stories I have been telling us through the slides, we are able to translate the same into what we have in Sage X3. I believe my screen is visible enough. I don't know if I need maybe to expand it a little bit so that you can see the details, but I believe that is workable. So I mentioned when we began, we mentioned about BOM, production BOM or BOM management. And here is my nice screen on Sage X3. The BOMs are actually managed in the common data. And if I open one of the production BOMs I have here, I would just want to showcase how we mentioned on version management for a product. As you can see, this product here has a major version here in version C. If I just search, I can see all the versions that have been managed for this product, from the first, which was version A, and the minor versions, version B and C, and so on and so forth. So the system is able to manage both major and minor versions. And we talked about the multi-level BOMs. For instance, if you have a product that has more than one BOM that requires to come up with it. So maybe there's a subcontracted product in the process, or there's a semi-finished product in the process. The system allows you to see all the components that are related to this BOM. And this is the example we have here, the multi-level BOM. As you can see, this is the first level. So it tells me this is the finished product. I have these components. And if I want to see all the components, if I click on multi-level, I'm able to see a list of all the components that are required to come up with this finished product, including whatever is either subcontracted or a semi-finished product. And that is one of the important tools we have in BOM production. Now, when we mentioned about inventory management, we have tools that help us to see or to view the at a snapshot, what is the level of our inventory, or how much stock do we have in a particular. For example, this here is a standard dashboard. This is an example of how much stock we have in QC status. It tells me this particular one, we have 5 quantity in Q status, and I'm able to export this into an Excel report and view and come up with more analysis. Also, we have in the stock module, we have a lot of inquiries we can run here in terms of how much stock we have by whatever different kind of specifications you want, and even the movements in terms of cost. And these are some of the functionalities we have in Sage X3 to give you a visibility or a brief overview of what you have at the moment. And now we also talked about supply chain management, and supply chain management basically has to do with what you purchase and what you're keeping in stock and what goes out after you have finished your production. And in terms of supply chain, we are able to see that we can view, for example, the purchasing manager can have a view of the dashboard of how much are we spending, how much is our cost efficiency, what is our delivery performance, what is the quality. And you can have all this data summarized in form of graphs and in charts. And of course, other than that, just the data, we have, of course, the procurement module where we are able to come up with our purchase orders, purchase the goods, maintain them in stock, and do the production. And the other issue we mentioned was on demand forecast. Demand forecast will basically give us a snapshot or a preview of what we perceive to purchase in the near future. And this is one functionality. You can come here and forecast. For example, forecasted for August here in September. I can say I need a monthly total of 60 units for this product. So it will give me a snapshot of what I need to produce on a weekly basis. And this can help you to plan beforehand in terms of ensuring you have optimal stocks. And Of course, optimal stocks we know is a good balance between us not overstocking or having understocks of any sort of nature. And the other factor we talked about in production management was on the issue of scheduling. We said there's a functionality in Sage X3 that helps us to schedule our production. And anytime you come and create your work order, Sage X3 is able to help you schedule that in terms of the start date and the end date of this particular production you want to do. If you just click here on the scheduling part, it tells you it's been scheduled. And then, of course, if there is no capacity in terms of machine and labor, it will notify you. But in essence, you're able to schedule your work order and you're sure when you need to do that production based on your start and end date, it will be done in that particular time frame. Other than that, we also have a very powerful tool which we call the production scheduler that you are able to run. You can also run a production scheduler. It's just like a simple summary of what you can view in terms of the workload that has been distributed for your production. And the other thing we talked about was the shop floor activity. Shop floor tracking is a functionality that helps us to say these are the number of employees working on this particular production. These are the teams. You can set up the start times, how much, were there any breaks, were there any ends of, the end of that production, and at the end of the day, you can, in other words, or in simple terms, monitor the level of your employee activity. And to crown it all, as we said, the cherry on top of the cake is the dashboards, the beautiful dashboards that we have on Sage X3. And this is an example of that dashboard. So any purchasing manager can view their data, inventory management can also view their data. Any CFO can view their data in terms of graphs and summarized information and help them to make key decisions. So just to conclude, we have said and we have talked about many things that Sage X3 can offer, but what is your problem today and what do you want to achieve from what you're doing? And so in summary, what I'm calling us to action is that choose Sage X3 today so that you're able to streamline your operations, enhance collaboration with your stakeholders like your suppliers and your customers. You enhance your business insights using these powerful tools and you boost your productivity. Thank you very much for your time. Yes.
Thank you, Sharon. I think it was really in detail. The initial challenges that I faced when I said, when I talk to anybody in production, the kind of chaos that everybody will have in the absence of a beautiful system, right? So after at least we went through the brief presentation on the product, I am sure all of us are now clear that with Sage X3, those challenges don't exist anymore. Thank you so much. So we can expand on this. My request to everybody here is reach out to us. We have shared the contact details, and anybody looking for any demos or understanding better about Sage X3, please do contact us. Let's move over to the Q&A session, please. I can see that there are a couple of questions that have come. One, I think both are about the inventory and inventory management. Can we use handle scanners in inventory management and control? Jackson or Sharon? The answer is yes. We can definitely use handle scanners and integrate handle scanners to the overall inventory management to reduce the manual activities in the inventory management. Yes, we can do it. The other question is about the BOM. Can we revise original BOM and maintain multiple revisions? Absolutely, yes. That's one of the beauties of the manufacturing systems from Sage X3. You can prepare a detailed multi-level BOM on any given point with proper authorities. You can alter that, maybe copy and produce a new one if you are not changing too much of it. And if you want to revise the existing BOM, maybe because one of the raw materials has changed, or if the customer demands a little change to the existing BOM, you can revise and you can manage the revision management also. So it is a pretty doable functionality within X3. Are there any other questions? Okay. As I said,
Neil,
we
sorry,
have
I
shared
see
the,
there's one with regards to Sage being hosted in the cloud or as a SaaS product. I don't know if you could see that one in the chat.
yes.
So I can give you a quick answer on that. At the moment, we are only doing it in a private cloud instance. There are currently talks happening that we are going to try and create it in a SaaS environment. But at this stage, we have no accurate time frame as to when this potentially could be, but it is currently on the roadmap.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Uh, have a module for gold manufacturing from mining to finished products, jewelry. Mr. Saleh, uh, very much. We can probably meet up sometime during this week or early next week, and we can discuss about the possibilities. We will require a little more information on your processes. Once we have them, definitely we can take it further. Please share your contact details. We will get in touch with you. Do we have any other questions? I don't see them in the Q&A window. Okay. So if you have any questions, we have shared the contact details of all our teams, both in Africa and Middle East. Please do get in touch with us on those points. We will revert back to you. And again, thank you so much for taking time out for this webinar. And we really appreciate your inputs and presence overall in the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks once again for all the panel members for sharing the views about Sage X3 and how Sage X3 can be the go-to solution for a manufacturing industry. Thank you all. See you soon.